I slept with my boss. Big deal. Don't look so shocked. That was the moment. Right there. 6 words, slurred just enough to make me wonder if she'd rehearsed it. 6 words that turned a regular Saturday night into something I'll never forget. She dropped her suitcase near the stairs, kicked off one heel but left the other on for dramatic effect, and laughed like she was in on some private joke. Like she expected me to break a plate or shout or demand an explanation. But I just stared at her. Not at the dress she hadn't packed when she left for her conference. Not at the smear of lipstick she hadn't worn in 3 years. Not at the gold necklace that was definitely new. I looked straight through all that and folded the envelope I'd been holding for 2 days. Placed it slowly, deliberately, in the middle of the dining table between us. She was too busy pouring herself a glass of Malbec to notice. "What's that supposed to be?" she asked, not even pretending to care. "You might want to read it," I said, sliding it across the wood grain without looking up. She scoffed, didn't even touch it, just leaned back and let out a chuckle, took a long sip, and muttered, "God, you're so dramatic." Her voice echoed slightly in the open concept kitchen. It's amazing how silence suddenly becomes a character of its own when trust leaves a room. I didn't say another word. Not about the affair. Not about the promotion she earned. Not about the months I'd quietly watched her become someone I wouldn't hire to water my plants. I just reached over, tapped my laptop once, and clicked confirm on a scheduled send. That was at 8:43 p.m. The irony? That same laptop was the one I bought her last Christmas. Said it would help her build her dream. That dream turned out to be a mid-level executive role built on networking and backroom hotel bars. She wandered upstairs after her second glass, humming something off-key. I stayed downstairs. Sat in that chair for 2 hours. The envelope stayed untouched. Her heels, one still on, one tossed under the couch, looked like they were part of a crime scene the cops hadn't discovered yet. Now, I know most people would have exploded. Yelled. Demanded names, details, dates. But that's not me. Because yelling is for people who don't have options. I had plenty. And I had time. If you've gotten this far into the story, I'll ask you something that helps more than you'd think. Subscribe. More than 90% of you listening haven't. And honestly, seeing that number drop motivates the hell out of the team behind these stories. Anyway, it's not like this was the first red flag. The first time she came home with a story about a late client dinner that ended with smeared mascara and a lift charge from an address 40 minutes in the opposite direction. Or when I noticed her business travel calendar, something I used to manage, suddenly had bookings I never saw in our joint account. No, this was just the first time she said it out loud. And maybe, deep down, she wanted me to know. Maybe she wanted a reaction. A fight. Anything that would let her paint me as the controlling, jealous husband when she eventually moved out and took the houseplants with her. But instead, I gave her stillness. Total, unnerving stillness. Because while she was in Chicago getting drunk on hotel rooftop bars with her boss, someone I used to exchange holiday cards with, I was writing a speech. One I knew would never come from her mouth. One that would sound exactly like her, until it didn't. It started out flattering, idealistic. Corporate values, community impact, ethical leadership. Then, halfway through, it shifts. The details get specific. Dates, names, locations. Enough to make any ethics committee's ears bleed. And it wasn't just words. There were attachments, screenshots, bookings, data, all embedded neatly in the metadata of the final keynote draft I scheduled to send at 9 a.m. Monday morning to 12 board members, for partners, and 2 media contacts. I even included a short note from her personal account, which, by the way, she left logged in on our shared iPad 6 months ago. She never once looked at the envelope, never once asked what was inside. By the time she did, it would already be too late. She thought I was just the guy who cooked her dinner and managed her expense reports. She forgot I was also the one who used to write her speeches. Sunday morning arrives like it always does in this house, quiet, beige, and 2 hours later than it should. She comes down barefoot, yawning like she didn't detonate a marriage the night before, still wearing the overpriced t-shirt from the hotel spa in Chicago. Doesn't even glance in my direction as she rummages through the fridge like it's a normal morning and not the smoldering aftermath of her confession. No mention of what she said. No about last night. Not even a fake cough to signal regret. Just a grunt when she finds almond milk expired and a passive-aggressive. "Could you maybe get the good granola next time?" I'm outside, hedge trimmers in hand, garden gloves on, pretending to care about the shape of the boxwoods. She assumes I'm sulking, that I'm emotionally constipated, the way she likes to describe me to her friends. The truth? I'm counting down the minutes to 9:03 a.m. Because that's when the first email drops. 8:47. She scrolls her phone absent-mindedly while sipping bad coffee. 8:52. A new email dings. Subject line: Proposed keynote, Ethics and Legacy in Leadership. Sender: herself. Or rather, her professional Gmail. The one she uses for side gigs, secret dinners, and off-the-record calls with her boss. She frowns at it, but only for a second. Must assume it's a draft she forgot to delete. Her ego's always been louder than her caution. She opens the email, schemes 2 lines, then mutters, "Ugh, who writes this crap?" I'm watching from the window now. I see the exact moment her eyes hesitate on the title slide. There it is. Our kitchen table. Her name on the first page. Her headshot in the corner. And the words, Ethics and Legacy in Leadership, plastered underneath like the tagline of a cruel joke. But she doesn't read it. Not really. She scrolls, pauses at the halfway point, then closes the app like it's beneath her. Tosses the phone on the counter. Rolls her eyes. Sheesh. He's seriously doing the cold shoulder thing, she says to no one. Walking back upstairs like her marriage hasn't already been weaponized into a PowerPoint. She doesn't know the file was sent to more than just her. She doesn't know that every image, every line, every piece of phrasing was reverse-engineered to sound exactly like her voice. Until the moment it wasn't. She doesn't know I included embedded hyperlinks, clickable receipts tucked into bullet points, masked as citations, conference expenses that never matched the actual venues, line items for client dinners in cities where no client existed, hotel stays that didn't align with her itinerary. She doesn't know that each of those links tracks opens, views, click-throughs. I do, because I built the spreadsheet behind them. It's still early. She thinks she has the upper hand. Thinks her little late-night confession was just a moment of transparency, one of those buzzwords she likes to toss around during her HR seminars. Let her think I'm outside stewing over it. Let her think this is about a broken heart or wounded pride. I'm not angry. I'm curious. Curious how long it'll take her boss to realize that speech, the one attached to her name and email, contains the beginning of a very public and very specific ethical crisis. And the clock is ticking, because while she's upstairs brushing her teeth, humming Taylor Swift, the list of recipients is already reviewing it. Some of them will just skim. Some will forward it to their assistants. But at least one board member with a conscience or a vendetta, will read every single word. And when they do, they'll recognize the voice behind it. Not hers. Mine. Monday, 8:02 a.m. I'm on the back deck, coffee in one hand, watching the neighbor's dog bark at a squirrel like it's a personal insult. The world is blissfully normal, for now. Inside, she's on her second cup, scrolling through her phone like she's shopping for throw pillows, completely unaware that the oxygen in her career is about to be sucked out. Then my phone rings. Unknown number, but I already know. I answer with a casual yes. There's a pause. The kind you only get when someone is trying to sound composed while the room around them is on fire. Then, this is Darren. His voice is tight. The kind of tight that happens when someone's standing in an office with soundproof glass and one hand pressed over the receiver so the assistant doesn't hear them panic. I just got the keynote draft, the one titled Ethics and Legacy. Did she who wrote this? I sip my coffee. Black. No sugar. Where did it come from, he demands. Who did you send this to? What the hell is this last section? I hear a muffled sound in the background. A woman's voice, maybe his assistant, asking if he's ready for the 8:15 call with the PR lead. He snaps at her. Push it. 10 minutes. Silence on the line. I let it hang for just long enough before replying. It's scheduled for auto-release to all board members at noon. Unless I manually cancel it. His breath catches. I can practically hear his tie tightening around his neck like a noose. You're bluffing, he says, but it's weak. Even he doesn't believe it. Am I? Click. The line goes dead. Inside the house, I hear the sound of the shower starting. She's humming. That same off-key hum she always does when she thinks she's gotten away with something. She still has no idea. Darren hasn't called her yet. Because Darren is currently in his office, hands on his head, realizing that the woman he's been sleeping with is about to go viral. Internally, at first, with a speech that details, in nauseating precision, just how far he's gone to manufacture her assent. He's realizing the dates match. The timelines fit. The line about recognizing leadership potential during unconventional hotel conferences isn't as subtle as he thought it was on first skim. And that final paragraph? The one that starts with, I once believed merit alone defined success, until I watched a man trade integrity for intimacy and call it mentorship? Yeah, That part's already been read by 2 assistant VPs and a senior partner who hates Darren's guts. My inbox is quiet. That's by design. The real chaos is happening in theirs. I take another sip. By 9 a.m., I know they'll start calling each other, asking questions, trying to confirm the origin. But it's clean. No fingerprints. Just the illusion that she sent it, like she always does when she wants credit for something she barely skimmed. She hasn't noticed the calendar notification I left on her phone. Noon today. Keynote. Board preview release. I watch a cardinal land on the railing near me. It stares at me for a second, tilts its head, then flies off. Free. Untethered. Darren, meanwhile, is pacing. He's thinking about the compliance forms he falsified, the HR disclosures he omitted, and how many people in that building would love an excuse to see him fall. He's calling his lawyer by 8:30. By 9 o'clock, someone in the communications team will be asked to hold all external press queries. By 10 o'clock, he'll be sweating through his shirt. And by noon, if I don't lift a finger, that little draft will finish what she started Saturday night. Only instead of wounding me, it's going to amputate them. No shouting. No police. No scandals in the tabloids. Just emails. And silence. 10:15 a.m. Top floor. Closed doors. Blinds drawn. No coffee served. Darren's in the executive conference room with a printout of the speech fanned out across the polished mahogany table, red Sharpie in hand, like a man trying to dissect a bomb he already knows has gone off. 2 senior partners sit across from him, stony-faced. The head of internal communications is scrolling, muttering under her breath. HR's director, tight-lipped, has her arms crossed and won't meet his eyes. This opening, Darren says, voice shaky but trying to perform calm. It's clearly just aspirational. The values, the mission, it's not damaging. Yet. But nobody responds. Because they've already read past the opening. They've already seen the turn. The halfway point. It shifts from corporate optimism to a slow, quiet evisceration. The tone changes so subtly. It's like a magician palming a knife during a handshake. Leadership, it says, requires more than charisma. It demands integrity in private and public, especially when promotions, mentorship, and travel budgets intersect with personal desire. Someone clears their throat. Then comes the part that makes Darren's hand visibly shake. Last October, during a client summit in Denver, a senior executive approved a lateral hire with no interview panel, no HR oversight, and a resume that had not been independently verified. No names, no direct accusations. But the subtext isn't subtext. It's a spotlight with receipts. Every executive in that room remembers Denver. The same Denver trip that Darren insisted on approving last minute. Alone, with her. The director of compliance leans forward. This is not a speech. This is an internal indictment. Darren tries to wave it off. It's exaggerated. She probably didn't realize. HR cuts him off. So she did write it. Darren freezes. One of the partners picks up a page. It's written in her voice. But cleaner. Tighter. This doesn't sound like someone spitballing. This was crafted. Designed. And then, the final paragraph. It doesn't accuse. It condemns. Integrity begins where hypocrisy ends. And for some, that line was crossed a long time ago. No one speaks for a long beat. Then the PR lead murmurs. This was sent from her email. Drafted on our internal template. With full access credentials. Embedded metadata confirms timestamp sync with our board calendar. It's airtight. Darren tries again. I'll talk to her. She can clarify. Another partner interrupts. You're not talking to anyone. Legal will. The door opens. A junior assistant leans in with wide eyes. The general counsel wants 5 minutes of everyone's time. And someone from compliance just requested to pull HR audit logs from last year's promotion cycle. HR stands. We're already exposed, she says. This isn't a cleanup. It's triage. Darren collapses into the leather chair, eyes on the final line again. He knows what it means. It's not just about him sleeping with a subordinate. It's about every decision she benefited from. Every policy bent. Every skipped review and waived requirement. All under the illusion of merit. Because now the board has a question they can't ignore. Was she promoted for performance or preference? They know the answer. And worse, now they have to act on it. Because this speech didn't leak to Twitter. It didn't go public. It was shared internally. Which means they can't dismiss it as a PR hit job. They can't sweep it under a scandal rug and call it slander. It came from within. Their email servers. Their devices. Their meeting calendar. It's a cancer in the walls. And the man who wrote it? He hasn't said a word to anyone since. Because he doesn't need to. He already said everything they needed to hear, through her mouth. 11:30 a.m. She finally opens the envelope. It had sat on the dining table for 2 days like a prop in a play she thought she'd already finished performing. She'd ignored it during her Sunday scroll-through, and this morning she'd moved it out of the way to make space for her chia seed breakfast, mocking it like it was a love letter from a man too weak to fight back. But now she's seen the signs. Darren's missed calls. The frantic Slack pings from legal she wasn't supposed to be copied on. The cryptic, "We need to talk," from someone in internal audit. So she finally opens it. The first thing she sees is a single post-it. Light blue. My handwriting. If it's no big deal, why hide this? She blinks, then lifts the rest of the stack. The texts come first. Printed screenshots. Her words. Darren's replies. Next time let's book the same hotel room. Easier to hide the receipts face-blowing a kiss. Still can't believe they gave me that title. You really do make magic happen, boss man. Love when you mentor me. She flips faster. Color drains from her face. There's a printout of a Lyft receipt from the wrong address. A dinner in New York she swore was for client retention. But the receipt says 2 entrees, no alcohol, because they brought their own bottle. I remember finding that one tucked in the back of our shared account. Then come the hotel invoices. Cross-referenced. Circled. Lined up with her calendar. Some are from cities she never told me she'd visited. One of them even shows the networking conference she claimed to attend was actually a spa resort with no conference center on site. She stops halfway through, clutches the table for balance. Then, finally, she reaches for her phone. Thumbs flying, she opens messages. Me, last seen 2 hours ago. She types, "Can we please talk? I didn't mean to hurt you like that. I didn't think you'd." She hesitates. Deletes. "Let's fix this before anyone else gets involved. You're making it worse for both of us." Sends. The bubble appears for a second, then disappears. Then a single response comes through. Not from me. An auto-reply. This number is no longer monitored. All communication must go through legal representation. If you have retained counsel, please direct them accordingly. She reads it 3 times. Her hands start to shake, because for the first time, she realizes there's no back channel. No apology she can weaponize. No late-night talk where she spins herself as the victim of an emotional disconnect or growing apart. That door? Shut. She rushes to email. Tries my personal, then my work email. Blocked. She opens WhatsApp. Nothing. Tries Facebook Messenger. Blocked. Signal? No match. LinkedIn? She sees I deleted my profile this morning. It hits her all at once. She's not dealing with a man trying to salvage a marriage. She's dealing with someone who's already out. And worse, someone who knows everything. She calls Darren. Voicemail. She texts, "You need to get ahead of this. I didn't send that speech. You know that." No reply. Because Darren's in a separate war room now, trying to explain to the board how a speech with embedded evidence, tracked clicks, and HR violating admissions was sent from an account with his name in the contact history. And she's no longer his leverage. She's the weight dragging him down. Back at the kitchen table, she stares at the envelope like it might grow fangs. Because the truth isn't just printed inside it. It's already been sent, forwarded, read, discussed, and her hands are empty, except for a phone that now speaks in legal disclaimers. That afternoon, she's ushered into the boardroom by an assistant who doesn't make eye contact. The kind of assistant who once laughed at her jokes and used to call her by her first name. Now it's just, "They're waiting for you inside." She steps through the glass doors expecting a seat at the table. There aren't any. No chairs. No pleasantries. No catering spread like usual. Just a long, cold table and 3 people standing on the other side of it. The CEO, the Director of People and Culture, and the Head of Corporate Compliance. Each has a folder. None of them offers her a smile. She stands there, arms folded, trying to project composure, but she knows what this is. "Ms. Brandt," the CEO begins, voice clipped. "We've convened this emergency meeting to address the draft keynote that was circulated this morning." She opens her mouth to respond, but he holds up a hand. "One question, and only one," he says. "Did you at any point during your promotion cycle last spring disclose a personal or romantic relationship with your direct superior, Mr. Collier?" The silence that follows feels like it lasts an hour. Her eyes dart from face to face. She licks her lips. I wasn't aware it needed to be formally declared. We weren't exclusive. It wasn't." The Director of People and Culture slaps a small pile of printouts onto the table. The top page, the company's internal disclosure policy. Highlighted section, all romantic, sexual, or financially intertwined relationships between direct report and supervisor must be disclosed prior to eligibility for promotion consideration. She freezes. We were. She starts, but the words trail off. It was brief. Just 2 trips. A few dinners. The compliance officer taps the next document in the pile. We have 6 hotel bookings linked to company expense accounts. 12 meal reimbursements listed as client-facing, all signed off by Mr. Collier, and all aligning with your joint travel. Her fingers twitch. She looks to the CEO for some signal of leniency. There isn't one. The board, he says, is not only concerned about ethics. We are now legally exposed. She tries to reach for the documents, but the HR director moves them an inch away. Subtle, deliberate. This draft speech, the compliance officer says, has now been opened by 6 directors, 2 external consultants, and was mirrored into our investor relations drive before it could be recalled. She doesn't understand. Mirrored, downloaded, indexed, shared. The room is still, except for her breathing, which is getting shallower. The HR director folds her arms. You knew the policy. You signed the updated handbook yourself. It's time-stamped. Her voice cracks now. I didn't. Look, Darren never brought this up. He told me it was fine, that it wouldn't be a big deal. The CEO cuts in, tone razor-sharp. And now you're trying to pin this on your superior? She tries to walk it back, but the trap has already sprung. Because that's what this meeting really is. Not a conversation, but a formality. The kind they have when the conclusion's already been reached. The evidence is printed. The policy is clear. The damage is spreading. There's a thud at the end of the table as a plain white envelope is placed in front of her. She stares at it, then looks up. What's this? The HR director answers. A notice of voluntary leave pending internal investigation. She blinks. Voluntary. If you don't sign, we'll proceed under breach of contract, which means termination, immediate loss of benefits, and revocation of your pending stock options. If you sign, we initiate an internal review. You retain minimal benefits, and we'll discuss your departure quietly. She looks down at the paper. No chair to collapse into, just her own legs beginning to give. She wants to scream, to deny it, to say she was framed, that someone planted it all. But she knows what's in that speech. She barely read it, but she felt the tone, saw the trail. And it's not just the data. It's the voice behind it. The one she thought she could humiliate and move past. She reaches for the pen, signs. Her hand barely holds steady. And for the first time, she realizes she's not in a room full of enemies. She's in a room full of people who used to trust her, used to root for her. And now they just want her gone before she burns the rest of the building down. An hour later, she's outside, pacing the sidewalk near the HR entrance, her phone gripped so tightly it might crack. The company car is already disabled. Her access badge doesn't scan anywhere. She's officially on leave, which is corporate speak for excommunicated. But she still has one move left. Jason Morrow, head of PR, charismatic, loyal to a fault, always the one to cover things when Darren fumbled a quote or she slipped a number in a panel. More importantly, Jason was once her husband's best friend. They'd gone to college together. Same dorm, same baseball team. She'd even toasted at Jason's wedding. For years, she'd called him Jay, joked that he was the safe one between her and her husband. So she dials. It rings, and rings, and rings. Straight to voicemail. She tries again. This time, leaves a message. Jason, it's me. Listen, I need your help. Something's going on, and I know you've probably heard about the email. I didn't write that speech. I wouldn't. I couldn't have. You know me. Please call me back. She ends the call, waits. Nothing. Minutes pass. She refreshes her inbox. Still nothing. So she tries his office line. Blocked. She stares at the phone like it just slapped her. Then something clicks. Not panic, yet. Just confusion, quickly morphing into something colder. She opens LinkedIn. Finds Jason's profile. Scrolls to the bottom. University of Michigan, class of 2007. Minor in Communication Studies. Co-founder, Legacy Speechwriters Circle. Wait. Co-founder. Her thumb hovers. She hadn't heard that name in over a decade. Back when her husband used to do small-time consulting gigs and wrote keynote drafts for newly minted execs trying to sound smarter than they were. She always rolled her eyes at it. Legacy Speechwriters Circle. What? A secret club for overeducated sad men with metaphors. Jason was his partner in that. She never gave it much thought. Until now. She scrolls again. 4 months ago, Jason was quietly promoted to strategic brand integrity oversight. A newly invented title. No announcement. No press. Just enough of a shift to give him privileged access to internal servers, including the one the email came from. The one with restricted permissions. Only 3 people could send from it. The CTO, Jason, and Darren himself. Her chest tightens. It wasn't just her husband. He had help. Jason had been silent not because he was disgusted or ashamed, but because he was in on it. She opens her company's IT security policy. Starts digging. Finds the server code on the metadata report Darren mentioned in the boardroom. There it is. Circle 03. Her stomach drops. Legacy Circle. That dumb little consulting group. It wasn't a hobby. It was the delivery system. He didn't just send a speech. He used their own infrastructure. Their brand language. Their formatting. Their tone. Jason crafted the first half to sound like her greatest hits. Her cadence. Her structure. Her catchphrases. Her signature pause after joke rhythm. The rest? Carefully constructed to bring the guillotine down halfway through. It was a trap, and she walked into it like it was a runway. Jason never picked a side. He'd always stayed neutral. Safe. But now, 12 years after a favor her husband once pulled, helping Jason keep his scholarship after an academic scandal no one ever knew about, he cashed it in. Not for money. For silence. For leverage. For revenge. And she is completely alone. No more Darren. No more Jason. No husband to grovel to. No friend to run cover. Everyone she once used, slept with, stepped over, or leaned on has turned their back. She isn't just isolated. She's surrounded by silence that chose not to save her. And that's when she realizes he didn't just expose her. He outnumbered her. Tuesday morning. She's dressed better than she has in weeks. Navy power suit. Hair done. Full makeup. It's a calculated look. Polished. Measured. The outfit of someone who's here to fix a misunderstanding, not beg for a job. She even adds a small silver pin to her blazer, part of the company's old branding from 5 years ago. A callback to loyalty, legacy, history. She parks in the visitor lot. No assigned spot anymore. The first red flag? No one opens the side door for her. She waves at the receptionist through the glass. Amy, who used to bake her birthday cookies, and Amy pretends not to see her. She taps her badge to the reader. Red light. No beep. She tries again. Same result. She presses the intercom. This is Julia Brandt. I'm here to speak with HR and the CEO. The line clicks. A pause. Then, please wait in the vestibule. Moments later, 2 uniformed security officers arrive. Not aggressive, not rude, but not there for customer service, either. Ms. Brandt, the older one says with professional detachment. We'll escort you in. She straightens her shoulders. That won't be necessary. I know the way. They don't move. It's policy, the younger one says. You're currently listed as on restricted access pending inquiry. We'll accompany you to legal. She feels the heat rising in her chest. But outside, through the tinted glass, people are watching. A cluster of junior staffers at the coffee truck. A product manager she mentored. One of the interns from last summer whispering behind his cup. She nods once. Sharp. Controlled. And walks ahead like she's leading them. Inside, everything is too quiet. The usual Monday through Tuesday buzz of meetings and calendar huddles is muted. She walks past the glass conference rooms where she once ran leadership briefings, past the rows of desks where people used to lean in to ask for advice, and now lean away as she passes. She enters legal. No coffee. No chairs. Just a single folder on the end of the table. And one woman, Susan from HR, sitting with a corporate lawyer in a navy dress. Neither says hello. Susan gestures. Ms. Brandt. We've already discussed this yesterday. This is your acknowledgement of voluntary leave pending internal investigation. Signing it confirms your agreement to comply with internal review protocols, maintain confidentiality, and waive severance contingencies pending final decision. Julia opens the folder, reads the first line. Voluntary leave, code 72 INV, executive misconduct under review. She blinks. Voluntary, she says, her voice quieter than she intended. Interesting choice of word. The lawyer doesn't smile. It's voluntary because the alternative is immediate termination with breach of ethics citation. That would trigger a full external inquiry and immediate shareholder disclosure. Julia hesitates. Her fingers tap the table once, twice. What if I refuse to sign? Susan folds her hands. Then we contact your legal representation. And the board escalates. A long pause. Her jaw clenches. I built this department. We know. I spoke at 3 national conferences for this company. We were at one of them. I've saved 2 mergers with my internal initiatives. And this morning, 3 of our major partners requested a pause on current contracts pending this investigation. That stops her. A pause so full, it's deafening. She picks up the pen, the one placed neatly beside the form, uncapped, waiting. Her hand hovers. She doesn't want to give them the satisfaction. But outside the office, just past the fog glass, she sees Darren. His posture says it all. Shoulders slumped, eyes forward, not looking at her. He's not here to fix anything. He's here to not be her. She signs. Not neatly. Not cleanly. The pen slips slightly. But it's enough. Susan nods, takes the folder, slides it into a sealed envelope. You'll be contacted for follow-up interviews within the week, the lawyer says. Please avoid direct contact with current employees until the review concludes. Julia stands. The guards are already behind her. She walks out, not quite as fast, not quite as proud, past the glass walls, past the stairs. Outside, her reflection in the tinted glass looks different, smaller. And this time, when she pushes through the door, no one holds it for her. Thursday morning. She gets the call at 7:12 a.m. sharp. No pleasantries, just a clipped message from a block number. Board meeting. 9 o'clock, attendance required. Legal presence confirmed. She doesn't ask questions. Doesn't need to. This isn't a check-in or a clarification. This is the end. She arrives 10 minutes early. Wears black this time. Not the tailored kind meant to signal strength. Just the kind that doesn't wrinkle when you're sweating through it. Her heels feel heavier today. Her confidence? Hollowed out, like the echo of her own keynote quotes now used against her. The receptionist doesn't say a word. Just motions toward the elevator and presses the button without eye contact. Floor 20. Executive boardroom. Glass walls, sharp corners, and air conditioning calibrated to keep people uncomfortable. She steps inside and knows instantly. This room was never meant for her anymore. They're already mid-discussion. 12 people seated around the long table. All eyes locked on printouts, tablets, and one massive screen at the end of the room displaying a report she's never seen before. One chair remains. It's next to the in-house counsel, with a name placard that reads External Legal Representation, Observing Only. It's not for her. She stands behind it. No one invites her to sit. Darren is there, at the far end, eyes glued to a legal pad. He doesn't glance up, doesn't nod. Nothing. Just silence and shame, like he's trying to disappear into the upholstery. The general counsel clears her throat. We've concluded the internal review regarding the keynote sent Monday morning and the conduct that followed. No preamble. No context. Julia swallows hard. As of today, the woman continues. Ms. Brandt's conduct has been found to be in breach of both our executive ethics agreement and internal promotion compliance standards. Julia starts to speak, but a hand goes up from the VP of Risk. Let's finish. The general counsel proceeds. Due to these violations and the potential long-term reputational damage incurred by the unapproved internal communication, Ms. Brandt's severance, stock options, and transition package are revoked under Clause 6B, termination for cause. She freezes. It's official. 34 pages of benefits and soft landings, gone. The screen changes. A new slide appears. Updated consultant engagements, Q3 forward. And there it is. Her husband's name. Samuel Brandt, keynote contributor and strategic communications consultant, contracted. She doesn't blink. Someone near the end of the table murmurs under their breath. Why didn't she just leave him quietly? It lands like a slap. A board member from operations nods toward the screen. We reviewed the full metadata chain. His involvement was verified. Everything tracked back to internal servers and authenticated access. No breaches. He followed protocol. The CEO finally looks at her. Flat, unreadable. It wasn't sabotage, Julia. It was strategy. She exhales, if you can call it that. No one yells. No one calls her a disgrace. This isn't humiliation. It's worse. It's surgical. She looks to Darren. Still no eye contact. Just a man unraveling silently next to the bomb he helped build. Her silence once served him. Now, her exposure threatens to drown him, too. And as for Jason, absent. Smart man. Too clean to be caught in the debris field. The board votes. One by one. Unanimous. Julia signs the final document without comment. It's just ink now. Ink and silence and a growing awareness that the man she mocked for being too quiet, too methodical, too available, had spent months laying foundations she never saw coming. The screen fades to the company logo. She's dismissed with 2 words. We're done. No security escort this time. She walks out under her own power, but each step feels like it belongs to someone else. Out of the boardroom. Out of relevance. Out of time. And somewhere, probably in a quiet room with bad coffee and a cheap podium, her husband is already writing someone else's speech. Friday, 6:42 a.m. The phone vibrates on the nightstand like it's trying to escape. She stares at the screen, sees the name, and hesitates. She hasn't heard his voice in days. Not since the meeting, not since she saw him flinch when her name was mentioned in front of the board. And now? Now he's calling from a personal number. No office redirect. No assistant. No legal buffer. She answers. It's Darren, but not the Darren she remembers. The overconfident one who used to flirt behind PowerPoints and smooth over crises with overpriced scotch. This Darren sounds like gravel. Exhausted. Gutted. I don't know who he sent it to. He says, no greeting, just raw panic. But 2 investors pulled out overnight. Just gone. Q4 press events canceled. Ethics committee is requesting a third-party audit. And our external legal counsel is asking for timeline logs going back 18 months. She sits up. Her throat's dry. He made sure the speech couldn't be contained. Darren continues. It's not just the board now. There's a digital archive. An external mirror link. A partner from Cronies Capital forwarded it to our lead account rep with a subject line. Is this satire or testimony? Silence. Then, softly, hoarse, wrecked, he pleads. Julia, for the love of God, what did you do? She opens the tablet. Finally, not just the attachment. The full keynote. The one she never really read. The one she dismissed as bad office poetry and tossed aside like a misfired bullet. She scrolls. At first, it's the same surface-level fluff, values, ethics, corporate alignment. But then the shift. The careful insertion of narrative. Names redacted, but timelines chillingly specific. The moment in Denver. The unsanctioned promotion. The rescheduled conference that never existed. Each detail stitched in with surgical precision. And woven through it all is tone. Not angry. Not bitter. Measured. Knowing. Strategic. She keeps scrolling until she hits the last paragraph. The one line that's now circled in red in the investor's forwarded copy. She reads it aloud, her voice nearly a whisper. To the men who support from the shadows, don't mistake their silence for weakness. Her hand trembles. Because it wasn't a threat. It was a declaration. And she hadn't just underestimated him. She'd never understood him. Across town, in a modest lecture hall at a community college, he stands behind a scuffed wooden podium. The kind of place where people speak because they believe someone, anyone, might listen, not because they're being paid to. He adjusts the microphone, places a small Bluetooth speaker beside it. A crowd of maybe 40 people, mostly students and 2 faculty members, look up from their notebooks. He clears his throat. This was originally written for someone else, he says, calmly. But now, I think you'll appreciate it more. And he begins. No flashy visuals. No applause. No viral cameras. Just his voice. And the speech that burned down an empire built on performances. A speech that turned the humiliated into the author of reckoning. He doesn't gloat. He doesn't even look satisfied. But there's something in his voice, steady, warm, resolved. Not revenge. Not glee. Just ownership. Back in her condo, the phone slips from her hand. Hits the carpeted floor with a thud. Her career's gone. Her reputation? Shredded in whispers and email threads she'll never be copied on again. And him? He's not even looking back. Because the man she laughed at, mocked, cheated on, and dismissed as her safe little house husband? He wrote the last word. And made damn sure she'd hear it.